Let's get more reaction now to this historic verdict. Joining us is Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds, who is a close ally of the former president in his campaign. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. We understand that you spoke with former President Trump last night. What did he tell you?
Well, he's very disappointed, even though his spirits remain high. He's going to continue to fight for America, fight for our Constitution. Obviously, he thinks that what happened in New York was a disgrace, and he's going to continue to fight on. He's not giving up, and he should not, because what happened in New York was reckless. It was disgusting. In my view, it was a violation of his constitutional rights, and it was a complete bastardization of the rule of law.
You are blasting this verdict, calling it a disgrace. What do you say, Congressman, to the 12 jurors who sat in court for 6 weeks? They deliberated and they came to this decision to reach this verdict.
Well, look, I'm disappointed in the jury because I would have hoped that they would have seen through the charade that was put on by Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan. The real fault lies with the judge and the prosecutor. The prosecutor took a non-existent federal crime, and used outdated misdemeanors to make them felonies. That's never happened in the state of New York or, frankly, any other state in the country. These charges have never been brought like this. Number two, Judge Merchan has already demonstrated that he was not impartial towards Donald Trump, being a donator to Joe Biden, his daughter working for Democrats, raising money on the trial on the trial itself, and then Judge Merchan, through the entire process, blocked the defense from actually raising a defense. They didn't actually allow Donald Trump to know what he was being charged with until closing arguments by the prosecution, when the defense had already finished theirs. I mean, this thing was set up. It was rigged from the very beginning. So you blame the judge, you blame the prosecution, the jury. Hopefully, my hope was somebody would have saw what was going on. They did not. And that's what's very unfortunate for America today.
But as you blast this system, this is how the system works in New York. Isn't this casting doubt on the integrity of the entire judicial system? And isn't that reckless, Congressman?
Wait, do you mean that how the justice system works in New York is that Alvin Bragg brings phony charges and the judge railroads the defense? Does it mean that the defense no longer has constitutional protections and no longer has due process rights? If you think it's okay to watch that go down and say nothing, then you don't believe in justice in the United States. I believe in justice in the United States. And so it's very clear to see when the judge and the prosecution are on the same side against the defendant. So talking ill about what is wrong in a courtroom in southern Manhattan is a good thing to do for the United States of America. Turning a blind eye to it and just saying, oh, the jury spoke, let's move on, that is what is very destructive of our institutions, because Donald Trump is not below the law. I know some of his critics, and obviously Joe Biden and Matthew Colangelo and Alvin Bragg thinks he's below the law, but he is not. He's a citizen like anybody else. He deserves due process rights like anybody else, and that was denied to him. You had an opportunity for a former FEC commissioner to testify in this case to demonstrate to the jury that there is no underlying federal crime according to the FEC, the body with jurisdiction. Judge Merchan wouldn't let the defense bring that witness. So what are we talking about here?
We know that the sentencing, Congressman, is scheduled for July 11th. That is just 4 days before the Republican National Convention. How are you expecting the timing will play out when it comes to Trump's decision for vice president for his pick?
First of all, let's move the vice presidency to the side for a moment. The fact that Judge Merchan is setting sentencing 4 days before the Republican National Convention demonstrates how highly politically motivated this is. This case in New York was all about interfering in the 2024 presidential election. And so let's be very clear. You have radical elements in the Democrat Party who have no problems interfering in a presidential election. You got Jack Smith at the federal level, Fannie Willis down in Georgia, Juan Merchan and Alvin Bragg in New York. They are now interfering in a presidential election. So now when you talk about what it means for the vice presidency pick, no changes whatsoever. Donald Trump's still going to make that pick. He's going to make the best one that he sees fit.
Should that pick be you?
Doesn't matter. That's up to Donald Trump. What matters now is explaining to the American people that what happened in New York was a travesty. People running around saying, oh, guilty on all counts. Oh, the rule of law has to stand. Oh, just listen to the jury. Did not look at the facts of this case. This was a blatant miscarriage of justice. A lot of legal scholars are saying this case is going to be overturned, and they fully expect it to be overturned. But the point is not to overturn the conviction. The point of what they did in New York was to be able to get Donald Trump. That is disgusting, and it's un-American.
To be clear, there is no evidence that the date of the sentencing is politically motivated. And as we've heard time and time again, there is an independence.
I don't need evidence. It's 4 days before the RNC. Come on, give me a break. We don't need evidence. We see it for what it is. It's highly political. Stop that. Don't do that. You know better than that.
I'm just telling you the facts according to what the judge laid out. But final question to you, Congressman. We have seen in our polling that there are voters who are worried.
Actually, no. I think that when you look at what's happened in this case, how politically motivated it is, the fact that you have Democrats destroying the very institutions of our justice system, let alone border security, what's going on in foreign policy, our very economy with high inflation, I think those voters are going to compare what's going on in America under Joe Biden, how disastrous he has been as a president. What the Democrats have done under Joe Biden is that they have destroyed the very pillars of our nation, and you witnessed it again yesterday in a courtroom in Lower Manhattan.
As you say, as the former president says, and as President Biden says, this will be up to the voters in November. Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds, thank you so much.
Thank you.